Good morning, students. Myself, CA Vibhavathavan. So I'm back with the module on unit and batch costing. So you must have covered overheads and activity-based costing by now. So we'll be covering now the methods of costing, and one such method is unit and batch costing. All right. So let's study how we do and what are the important techniques and what is the significance of it, and in what type of cases we use unit and batch costing. Good morning, all of you. So different methods of costing have been developed according to the needs and nature of industries. So when you have, so we have grouped the industries into two basic types: industries doing job work and industries engaged in mass production. That means regular production, all right, of a single product or identical product. So on one side, the products are customized. They are not standard. They are not regular. But on the other side, it's a regular production. So there are two categories of industry. So for industry doing job work means the customized work, non-standardized work, which is engaged in execution of special orders. So it's order-based production. The production will happen only when the order has come, and the production will be based on the specifications of the order which has been received. So it's a non-standardized work, each distinguishable from each other. So if there are two orders being processed or being produced, both the orders will be different from each other because both will have different specifications, both will have different requirements. Jobs are strictly in accordance with customer specifications and requirements. So examples are shipbuilding. So what type of ship you require, then construction of roads and bridges, and the buildings also. Manufacturing of heavy electrical tools, wood, furniture, etc. So here the production, the assembly is done as per the customer requirements. So, every customer requirements will be different. So the production will be not regular one. All the jobs, all the orders, all the products will not be similar. They will all be different. So here each job or unit of production, each job and unit of production is treated as a separate entity. And the methods of costing are known as job costing, contract costing, and batch costing. All right. So when there is a continuous or process type industries, that means the production is regular and continuous. So every product is identical, every product is similar. All the specifications of all the products will be similar. So normally when a regular production takes place. So continuous type of industries are characterized by continuous production of uniform products. Products will be identical. In such a case, successive lots are generally indistinguishable. I mean, the next lot will also be same as was the previous lot. Examples of continuous type of industries are chemical, pharmaceutical, paper, food products. So if fruity cans are being produced, all the cans will be similar. Clear? So this is the type of continuous industries where same type of product, every lot we are producing. So here it's the process method of costing, process costing, single and operating costing. So they are the very methods of costing. You will be understanding each and every method of costing. So in this module, we'll be starting with unit and batch costing. All right. Good morning. Factory and industry are same. Factory and industry. Let us say I am in paper industry. So in paper industry, there will be 100 factories. But I have my own factory. So factory is always part of the industry. Industry is an umbrella category. In industry, there could be 100 factories. So my factory is one of them. So factory is always part of industry. In which industry my factory is set up? Paper industry or medicine industry or pharmaceutical, I mean. Then, you have manufacturing industry. So what category of business you are into, that is industry. So factory is, it's a part of industry. There will be many factories in one industry. Moving further. Okay. So unit costing will be starting. Unit costing is that method of costing where the output produced is identical. Clear? So it's a continuous production and each unit of output requires identical cost. So every output, every unit of output is identical and they require same material, same labor, same quantity of material. The costing is also identical. That is unit costing. So it will be denoted by 1 unit. So 1 unit, cost per unit will represent all the units of every lot. Whatever lot you produce, every unit in every lot will be same. The cost will be same. So we can just have cost per unit. So that 1 unit of cost is similar and same for all the other units. Clear? So it is followed by industries which produce single output or few variants of a single output. So very, very few and very regular and continuous production happens. So here the costs are collected element wise. Element means element wise classification we did. Material, labor and expenses. This is the element wise classification and we follow this only. Then the cost per unit is ascertained. So total cost of production divided by number of units produced. So you will get cost per unit. Cost will be numerator and units will be denominator. So we will get cost per unit. Clear? This method of costing finds its application in industries like paper, steel, mining, breweries, where basically all the products are identical. These type of industries produce identical products and have identical cost. So how we collect the cost in unit costing? Cost of material are collected from material requisition note. We have already discussed that in material module, that whenever we issue the material for production, the production department will send the material requisition note to the stores department, and on the basis of materials are issued. So material issued means how much material is consumed. So whatever material is consumed into production will be the cost of material for production. So it will be part of cost of production. Yeah. So cost of material so accumulated is posted in cost accounting system, which we will be doing in couple of days. Through the cost accounting system, cost sheet for the period is prepared to know the cost for the period element wise and function wise. So in the cost sheet, we'll be understanding in detail how we segregate the cost and how we record the cost in the cost sheet element wise and functions wise also. Clear? So both the segregation and classification you will find in the cost sheet. We'll be discussing in that module. But here for unit costing, everything first is recorded in the cost accounting system through accounts and entries. And then through cost accounting system, we make the cost sheet. And then through cost sheet, we will reach up to cost per unit. Clear? We'll be doing and you will have a better understanding. Good morning, students. All right. Then the employee cost again. Employee cost, we have discussed in employee module that it is collected from job time cards. A job card or time cards will get the information how much hours the employee has spent on different jobs, and then we accumulate it for a certain period of volume of activity. So for these many units, how much hours have been used by the employee or the workers. So the time booked or recorded, it will be calculated at appropriate rates to calculate the wages and salaries. So the time into the rate per hour or per month or whatever, and then it will be recorded in cost accounting system. And for indirect also, we'll collect the information from the payrolls, and then through those coding and everything, the ledger accounts, we get the employee cost. Clear? That is taken to the cost sheet to calculate the second element of cost. So it's material, labor, and then overheads. There are 3 elements of cost. Overheads are collected. Now, overheads are basically the indirect cost. Overheads are collected under suitable standing orders. There is always a coding. All right. And selling and distribution overheads against cost account numbers. So total overhead expenses are collected and they are apportioned. You have already done the overheads module. So now you are familiar with these terms. Overheads we apportion and direct cost we always allocate. Overheads we apportion on the basis of some basis, whether it's labor hour or machine hour or prime cost or material cost, whatever is the basis of apportionment. So overheads are basically apportioned or shared between all the products and the departments on some suitable basis. The expenses of service departments are finally transferred to production departments, and total overhead of production department is then applied to products. Okay? So you must have done this by now, that all the costs are being gathered at one place, and that one place is production department. Whatever is happening, whatever cost is allocated to service departments also will ultimately come to production departments. And through production department, we have to collect the cost of production. Right? So everything will be assembled and accumulated at the production department level. So this is how we collect the overheads. Okay, spoiled and defective work. We have again, we have discussed this in materials module. So the basic fundamental is anything which is normal, whether it's waste or scrap or spoilage or defectives, anything which is normal. Normal means every production process, it will happen. So if it is inherent in the process, every production process, that normal loss has to happen, then it will be part of cost of production. Anything which is abnormal will go to costing profit or loss account, will never be a part of cost of production, will never be a part of cost per unit. It will not be a part of cost per unit. Any abnormal loss, and due to this, there's an abnormal cost, all right? So when a normal rate of defective has already been established, an actual number of defectives is within the normal. So 5% defective will happen. So it will happen. So cost of rectification will be charged to entire output. That means it will be a part of cost per unit. Through cost per unit, it will be spread. On the other hand, if it is substantially increased the normal limits, then it will go to costing profit or loss account. Abnormal has to go to costing profit or loss account. Clear? So if it's within the normal range, it will be absorbed in the cost of production. Clear? Okay. Okay, so we have an illustration. Quickly we can do. We have to find out cost per unit and profit. Clear? Cost per unit is we want total cost divided by total units. That we will be getting the cost per unit. So the material is already there. Just take a note of this question, students, quickly. So material consumed is the actual material which has been used for production. So this exactly should be the cost of material in the cost per unit. So material consumed is 4 lakh, direct wages is 2,40,000. Machine hours worked, 3,200 hours, and machine hour rate is 40. So machine hours, that means these are part of production overhead. Machine hours worked and machine hour rate is part of production overhead. Clear? Production overheads, the absorption rate is given to you. So absorption rate of production overhead is on the basis of machine hour rate. By now you have done overhead. So now I hope you understand what does it mean. So then office overheads are given, the absorption rate. See, overheads are always, the rate of absorption will always be given under overheads. And material and labor, the direct cost will always be actual. So what is the basic difference? Direct cost is always actual. They will be straight away allocated directly to the product because they are straight away measurable. But the overheads are absorbed on some basis. So production overheads are absorbed on machine hour. Office overheads will be absorbed on works cost. Selling overheads will be absorbed on per unit basis. Clear? So we have raw material, we have wages. So total comes out to 6,40,000. Material and wages. Machine hours worked 3,200 into 40. So how much is the production overheads? Quickly calculate the production overheads. 3,200 into 40. So their production overheads must be direct material and direct wages. Please do the calculation quickly. So direct material and direct wages basically form the prime cost. We'll be studying in detail in cost sheet. Direct material and direct labor. Let me just make you understand here. Okay. So direct material and direct labor. So direct material is 4 lakh. Direct labor is 2,40,000. So direct expenses 6,40,000 is your prime cost. Prime cost is the elements of cost, the direct cost. Prime cost is the total of the direct cost, direct material, direct labor, direct expenses. We get the prime cost. To the prime cost, then we add all the overheads. That means till prime cost, all the cost is direct. After prime cost, indirect cost starts. Indirect cost means the overheads. So first of all, the overheads are production overheads. So we add the production overheads. production overheads are absorbed on the basis of machine hour rate, because machines are used on the production floor. So that is why machine hours are basically related to production overheads. 3,200 into 40 is 1,28,000. So 1,28,000, we get the works cost. Clear? How much is works cost? Plus 6,40,000 is the works cost. 7,68,000 is the works cost. Works cost means it includes the production floor cost. It includes direct cost plus production overheads. Clear? Then to the works cost, we add office administration overheads. So office overheads are 10% of works cost. So 76,800. 10% of works cost. It will be 844,800. So this is cost of goods sold or cost of production. Cost of production or cost of goods sold is 844,800. Check the figures also. And you have to calculate per unit. Side by side, please make the column for cost per unit. Because you have to calculate per unit also. Cost per unit. And the units are 10,000. You can see the units produced and sold. That means there is no stock. Units produced and sold are 10,000. Clear? So you just calculate per unit also. So 10,000 means it's 40, it's 24, it's 64. So you just calculate the per unit costing also. Okay. Yes, good. So this is cost. Then we add the selling and distribution. We add selling and distribution overheads. 20 per unit. Selling overheads is always, if it's given per unit, always remember, it will be per unit sold. Here the units sold and produced are same, but normally it does not happen. If 10,000 is produced and 8,000 are sold, so selling overheads will always be absorbed on the basis of units sold, not produced. All right. Here both the units are same, so here there is no such issue. Selling and distribution will be 2 lakh. Clear? So then you have 10,44,800. Then you add profit. Profit is not given, but sales is given. So profit will be the balancing figure. Sales is 12 lakh. Sales is 12 lakh. So calculate the profit. How much is profit? 155,200. 155,200 is the profit. Yes. So you just continue calculating the cost per unit as well. So calculate cost per unit also side by side. So we just calculate this. So sales is 120 per unit. So how much will be profit? 155,200 divided by 10,000. 15.52 is the profit per unit. 15.52 is profit per unit. Clear? Similarly, you want the cost per unit. So calculate the cost per unit. 44,800 divided by 10,000. So it's 104.48 is cost per unit, and this is profit per unit. This is exactly what you have to calculate. Yeah. So in the whenever we make this cost statement, which is called a miniature of a cost sheet, we always basically generally calculate the cost total and per unit. All right. Total cost and cost per unit. Cost per unit, how you calculate cost per unit? So you have to calculate cost per unit for every element of cost, for every function of cost. Everywhere you have to calculate cost per unit. Clear? So this is how it is done. Yes, I hope you've understood this question. Pawan, we are doing unit and batch costing. All right. Unit and batch costing we are doing. So just look in the study material, which exact unit it is. All right. So I hope this question is clear to you. Let us move to okay. So we have the solution also. See, number of units produced 10,000. You should always write at the top of the cost sheet. Cost per unit and amount. So this was the cost per unit. This is profit per unit. And these are the total. Clear? So this exactly we have done. I hope you've understood. So let's move further. All right. So we have another illustration. Just take a note of this illustration, all of you. So Athar Limited produces a uniform type of product. and a manufacturing capacity of 3,000 per unit per week. 3,000 units per week of 48 hours. So the following data is available for 3 consecutive weeks. Units manufactured. So these are the units for the 3 weeks. Direct material, they have given direct labor, direct wages they have given, and factory overheads they have given. So the company charges a profit of 20% on selling price. Find out the selling price per unit. We want the selling price per unit when the weekly output is 2,000 units. We want the selling price when the weekly output is 2,000 units. So basically, we have to calculate the selling price if the weekly output is 2,000 units. We want to calculate the price for 2,000 units on the basis of data given for the 3 weeks. Clear? So what exactly we want? We have to calculate the selling price. So the costing is there. So it must be direct material, direct labor, and then factory overheads. Clear? So that means there are 3 elements of cost to calculate the costing. And then we will add the profit. And then we'll get the sales. So this is what we are supposed to do. Clear? We have to calculate the selling price for 2,000 units if we produce. All right. And again, here also you make 2 columns extra, total and per unit. Clear? So the elements of costing. So the 2,000 units, the costing, what are the components which are used in the costing? Material, labor, and overheads. So we will be taking the base given here, the information given here, and then we will apply on to 2,000 units. So first we will start with direct material. So if the direct material is used for 1,200 units is 9,000, how much it will be for 2,000? So direct material, you just convert it into per unit. Now here one thing important. See, first you have to see, we have to calculate the rate here. So this information is to calculate the rate, and then rate will be applied to calculate the costing for 2,000 units. So this is the information to basically give you the base of calculation. So direct material is generally variable. Clear? It's variable cost. So variable cost should always be converted into per unit first. Clear? So 9,000 divided by 1,200. 9,000 divided by 1,200. 7.5. So material cost per unit is 7.5. If it's coming as 7.5, that means it is a variable cost. So variable cost directly applies on the 2,000 units. Clear? If you can just check for here also, material cost per unit will remain same. Variable cost per unit never changes. All right. So let us check for here also. 12,000 for the second week divided by 1,600. 7.5. 7.5 for the second week also. You can check for the third week also. 500 divided by 1,800. 7.5. That means material cost is variable. 7.5 is the material cost per unit. Variable cost per unit never changes. It's a main property. Fixed cost total is constant. Variable cost per unit is constant. Because you change the numerator and denominator both. See, numerator and denominator both are changing. So the per unit will not change because both are changing in equal proportion. Clear? So direct material here also into 7.5. So you will get the direct material cost. Calculate the direct material cost. Okay, so direct material cost is 7.5 per unit. Coming to direct wages, let us say it is variable or fixed. 3,600 divided by 1,200, it's coming as 3. Direct labor per unit is coming as 3. If you do for the second one also, 4,800 divided by 1,600. Wages divided by units, again it's coming 3. And in the third case, 5,400 divided by 1,800 is also 3. So direct labor is also variable cost because it's 3 per unit. You produce any units, it will be 3 per unit. So direct labor is 3 per unit. You will calculate the value for 2,000. Clear? So we are calculating the rate here and applying the rate to the units. For 2,000 units, they require us to calculate the selling price. So direct material cost we have calculated. 7.5 per unit is the costing of material. into 2000 you have to do. Direct labor also, the cost is 3 per unit. So you just multiply by 2000 units, clear? So remember, direct cost is always variable. Clear? Always. Direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, they're always variable. You increase the production, they will increase in equal proportion. You decrease the proportion, production, they will decrease in equal proportion. That is the property of direct cost. Clear? Coming to factory overheads, let's check about factory overheads. Is it 100% variable or what? So 31,000 divided by 1200, it's coming 25.8. 25.8. Let us check for second also. 33,000 divided by 1600. It's coming 20.6. That means factory overheads are not variable. And they are not fixed also. But why? Because for first week it's 31, for second week it's 33, for third week it's 34. So it's not fixed also. If had it been fixed, the amount has to be same. So factory overheads are not variable because the per unit is different every time. And it's not fixed also. That means factory overheads are semi-variable cost. It's a semi-variable overhead. We have to split between variable and fixed. Clear? So it's semi-variable. Just let me just clear out the whole story. So factory overheads, we have to split between variable and fixed. So I'll just erase the rest of the thing so that you better understand. So I hope you have understood the material and the labor. So let me just, otherwise it will be too cluttered. All right. So how we split the semi-variable, we have already discussed in the first unit. Difference in the overheads and difference in the units. So difference in cost divided by difference in units. We take the first case. Difference in overheads is 2000 and difference in units is 400. We are calculating the variable cost in the factory overheads. So factory overheads are semi-variable, and through this method, we will calculate the variable portion in the semi-variable and balance will be fixed. Clear? I repeat, factory overheads are semi-variable. They are not variable and they are not fixed. They are both. So we have to split the factory overheads into variable and fixed. And through this method, we will be calculating the variable portion. So the balance will automatically be fixed. Clear? So the difference in the amount of overheads divided by difference in units. You can take any combination of V. I've taken 1 and 2. You can take 2 and 3. You can take 1 and 3. Answer will be same. Clear? So how much is this per unit? Variable cost per unit comes out to 5. Variable cost per unit comes out to 5. So in factory overheads, variable cost is 5 per unit. You just multiply by 2000. Clear? Variable portion is 5 per unit. So now let us see how much is fixed. So if variable is 5 per unit, that means units are 1200. I'm talking about week 1. Units are 1200 into 5. So it's 6,000. Variable cost is 6,000. Total is 31,000. So the fixed cost comes to 25,000. Fixed cost is 25,000. All right. You can check with the second week also. 33,000 is the total. 1,600 are the units. So first the variable cost, the second week. Variable cost is 1,600. Second week I'm doing. I'm just explaining you. The answer will be same. Variable cost 1,600. We have calculated it's 5 per unit. So it will be 8,000. Variable cost is 8,000. Total is 33,000. The fixed cost will be 25,000. See, fixed cost is constant. So fixed cost will be same. You can check with any of the week. You can take the combination of any of the 2 weeks and the answer will be same. Clear? So factory overheads 5 per unit is variable portion and the 25,000 is the fixed cost. Clear? So this is how we do. So direct material we have, direct labor we have, factory overheads we have split between variable and fixed. You always need to check whether the cost is variable or fixed. If it's variable, calculate cost per unit. If it's fixed, you will come to know because amount of fixed will remain same in all the weeks or all the months. Clear? So here we have checked factory overheads. It was not, the cost per unit was not same in all the three cases. That means it's not variable. And fixed, it was not fixed because the amount is different. So it is semi-variable. Clear? So factory overheads are semi-variable. So we have done the costing here. So direct material, direct labor, factory overheads, whatever is the total cost, you add profit to it. Profit is 20% on the selling price. So can I have the total cost, please? Anybody who has calculated total cost? Direct material, 2000 into 7.5. Direct labor, 2000 into 3. Variable factory overhead, 2000 into 5. Fixed cost is 25,000. Fixed factory overhead is 25,000. Can anybody tell me the total cost? Can I have the total cost, please? Total cost. Anybody has calculated total cost? No answers? Can I calculate? Okay, total cost comes out to 56,000. Total cost comes out to 56,000. That is total cost. Now you have to add the profit to it. Profit is 20% on, yes, 56,000. Yes, we have got the right. Yes, so profit is 20% on selling price, but you have to calculate on cost. So how you are going to do it? I hope you know. How much can you tell me the profit? How we calculate the profit in such cases? I'm erasing so that you understand. I hope you've understood this. All right. So profit is 56,000 will be the cost into profit is 20%. 20% on selling price. But you have to calculate on cost. So it will be 20 by 80. That means 1 by 4. Clear? So if its profit is 20% on selling price, it will become 25% on cost. Clear? So just calculate the profit. 56,000 into 20 divided by 80. 14,000 is the profit and 70,000 comes out to sales. Divide by 2,000 units, you will get the selling price. Divide by 2,000 units, you will get the selling price per unit for the 2,000 units weekly output. All right. Yes, this is the way we do factory overhead point. No, it's very, Mamta, this is no complication. It's a very basic. See, in costing, you will generally come across semi-variable overhead. You should be very, very thorough. In any question, semi-variable overhead can come. Semi-variable cost can come. And it should be very clear to you how we split the factory or the semi-variable overheads into, fixed and variable. Yeah, if we have to apply it to some product or some units or some costing we have to do. So we have to split in that case. All right. It's not complicated. It's a basic concept, semi-variable. We have already done in the unit 1. Clear? So you just, revise all the methods, how we split semi-variable into variable and fixed. Okay, so we have a clean solution also. So direct material, direct labor, prime cost. Factory overheads, again, here it is variable and fixed both. And out of 35,000, 25,000 is fixed, which was the fixed amount. And the rest, 10,000 must be the variable cost. Clear? Because see, variable cost was 5 per unit. So 5 into 2 was 10,000. So factory is total 35,000. Clear? Then total cost and 20% on sales is equivalent to 25% on cost. So this is profit and this is sales and this is the selling price per unit. Yes. Good that you have understood. Factory cost calculation, I have explained you. Its factory overheads are semi-variable. So semi-variable, we split between variable and fixed. We calculate the variable portion. How we calculate? Difference in cost divided by difference in units. This is one of the method. So you just revise semi-variable overheads, module 1, the unit 1. Clear? Introduction, the part where we have already discussed how we segregate semi-variable into variable and fixed. So through those methods, we calculate the variable portion and the balance is the fixed one. Clear? Let us move further. Okay, so this is the semi-variable, has to be calculated for 2000 units. So difference in units, difference in amount divided by difference in units. So difference in cost is 2000, difference in units is 400. You just divide and you get 5. 5 is variable cost per unit. We always calculate the variable cost. Clear? So now the variable cost for 2000 units will be 10,000. So for 2000 units, variable cost will be 2000 into 5, it becomes 10,000. And the fixed cost will not change. Fixed cost will be 25,000. So for 2000 units, the cost is 35,000. Clear? Here, how you will calculate? 5 per unit is variable cost. So 1200 into 5 is variable cost. So out of 31,000, 6,000 is variable. The balance is fixed. So this is variable and this is fixed. Clear? So out of 31,000, 6,000 is variable. How? Difference in cost divided by difference in units, and it comes out to 5 per unit. So variable cost is 5 per unit. So multiply by units, you will get 6,000. Out of 31,000, 6,000 is variable cost. The balance is fixed cost. You can check with the next week also. 33,000 amount and 1,600 units. So variable cost will be 1,600 into 5. That means 8,000. And out of 33,000, 8,000 is variable. The balance 25,000 is fixed. So fixed will always remain fixed. Now let us apply for 2,000 units also. 5 is variable cost. So 10,000 plus fixed cost is 25,000. So total fixed cost for 2,000 units comes to 35,000. Clear? So just we have to calculate profit calculation. Profits to Shweta, this is the basic mathematics. Clear? You should practice these things because if I tell you how to calculate the profit, we are going to miss the other important concepts of costing. If the profit is given on sales, but we have to calculate on cost, it's more of a mathematics than costing. Clear? So this is how we calculate, but you should know these are the simple mathematic tricks you should know. Clear? If 20% is on sales, but you calculate on cost, so you just do, this is the costing. So 56,000 into 20. But I have to see if it is on sales, then it would have been 20 by 100. But I'm calculating on cost. Cost will be less than 100. Clear? How much less than 100? 20%, the profit part. So it will be 20 by 80. 20 by 80 means 1 by 4th. 1 by 4th means 25%. That is why if 20% on sales is given, it is equivalent to 25% on cost. 1 by 4, 20 by 80. Clear? So this is how we do it. All right. So we have another illustration. Take a note of this. Take a note of this illustration quickly. All right. So this company has a capacity of 1,20,000 units per annum at its optimum capacity. So the production costs are direct material 90 per unit. See, variable cost will always be given you per unit. Direct labor 60 per unit. Overheads 30 lakh per annum. Overheads fixed will always be, in total, and variable will generally be per unit. All right, you should know these things. Variable cost will generally be given you per unit and fixed will generally be given you in total because they remain same irrespective of production. Clear? So overheads fixed at this and variable is 30 per unit. So there are two types of overheads, fixed and variable. Now semi-variable is also there. 20 lakh per annum up to 50% capacity and an extra amount of 4 lakh for every 25% increase or part thereof. Clear? So till 50% capacity, it will be 20 lakh per annum. If the capacity is 75%, then how much it would be? 20 lakh plus 4 lakh. So if it is 80%, how much it would be? 20 lakh will be there till 50. Then plus 25 more. Then that means plus 4. And then 5% more. Even for 5%, you have to add 4 lakh. Because they are saying an extra amount of 4 lakh for every 25% increase. So if it's a 25% increase, then it will be straight away 4 lakh. But even if it is less than 25, still it will be 4 lakh because it's saying or part thereof. So if till 50%, the semi-variable will be 20 lakh. Okay. Now let us say it is 80%. So till 50, it will be this plus extra 25, it will be 4. Let us say it is 80% capacity. So how you will be doing? First 50, 20 lakh. Another 25%, it will be extra 4 lakh plus 5%. Only 5% is extra, but it will be again 4 lakh because they are saying or part thereof. They are not saying only for if it's 25%, then only. Or part thereof means even if for less than 25, but anything extra also you have to add 4 lakh. Clear? So this is what does it mean. Let us say it is 90%. So 90% means 15% extra, again 4 lakh. So till next 25 also, it will be 4 lakh. Clear? So till 25 or even less than 25, कुछ भी अगर extra हो रहा है, it will be straight away 4 lakh. Clear? We'll understand once we do the question. The production is made to order and not for stocks. That means there are no closing stock. You just produce whenever you get an order. If the production program is as indicated below, the management desires a profit. So management wants a profit of 20 lakh. This is what management wants. You have to determine the average selling price. See, management wants 20 lakh profit over and above the cost. So the cost is given as actual. Profit we require, whatever is the cost, plus 20 lakh profit we require. So how much will be the sales? Average selling price at which each unit should be quoted. So selling price per unit. Now the capacity they have given, ignore administration, selling and distribution. So we have to ignore the other overheads. First 3 months, the capacity is 50%. The remaining 9 months, the capacity is 80%. Clear? Can you tell me the capacity? Please tell me the capacity. For first 3 months, the capacity is 50% and the rest 9 months, the capacity is 80%. Clear? So we have to do it for 2 categories here. So first we'll be doing for 3 months and then we will be doing for 9 months. So you have to do it separately. 3 months and 9 months. 3 months capacity is 50%. 9 months capacity is 80%. Can you tell me the units? Capacity as per the units. How much units we are producing as per the capacity? First 3 months, the capacity is 50%. The remaining 9 months, the capacity is 80%. Can I have the capacity for first 3 months, please? Can I have the capacity for first 3 months? 15,000. Any other answer for 9 months? The total capacity is 1,20,000 units. The total capacity is 1,20,000 units per annum. How much is the capacity for first 3 months at 50% capacity? 60,000 and 96,000. 60,000 and 96,000 is absolutely wrong. See, you have to be very, very careful what you are doing. First 3 months, the capacity is 50%. So you are straight away doing 60%, 50% of 1,20,000. No, it's 1,20,000 units per annum. Per annum, it's 1,20,000. You have to do first proportionate for 3 months. and then proportionate for 9 months. Clear? So for 3 months, the capacity is 1,20,000 is for the entire year. So per month capacity divided by 2. Per month capacity is 10,000 units. Per month capacity is 10,000 units. Now you multiply by 3 months. So 3 months capacity would be 30,000. And 30,000 capacity should be for first 3 months. Then do 50%. So it is 15,000, not 60,000. Most of the students make this mistake. Clear? So it's per annum. You just calculate month capacity. So 1 month capacity is 10,000. So first 3 months capacity is 30,000. But for first 3 months, the capacity 30,000 is 100%. You just do it 50%. So it's 15,000. Similarly, for 9 months, the units for 9 months, the entire capacity for 9 months will be 90,000. 90,000 units for 9 months. But we are operating at 80%. So it will be 72,000. 72,000 for 9 months. All right. So for 15,000 for 3 months and 72,000 for 9 months. And this is how we have to do. You first have to do proportionate. सीधा 120,000 1,20,000 का 50% और 80% नहीं करना आपको. You just make it proportionate first. Clear? So now we have the units with us. Now we'll see. First of all, direct material. Direct material is into 90. So direct material, the units you have, just multiply by 90 per unit. So 90 into 15,000, 90 into 72,000. Then you have direct labor, multiply by 60 per unit. It's already given. Then you have overheads. Overheads, first of all, variable overheads, which is 100 per unit. So variable overheads are 100 per unit and you have the units. Clear? Yes. So now you have understood. Yes, first 3 months, it has to be 30,000. So 50% of 30,000. For 9 months, the capacity is 90,000 and 80% is 72,000. So now we are starting the costing. Direct material 90 per unit, direct labor 60 per unit, overheads variable is 100 per unit. So we have the variable costing first. Now fixed. Fixed overheads. Can I have the fixed overheads for 3 months and 9 months? Fixed overheads are 30 lakh per annum. Fixed overheads are 30 lakh per annum. Can you tell me the fixed cost for 3 months and 9 months, please? Fixed overheads are 30 lakh per annum. Fixed overheads are 30 lakh per annum. Can you tell me how much for 50% capacity and 80% capacity? How much is fixed overheads for the 30%, 50% capacity? Can I have the fixed cost, please? I want the answers from your side. Only then you will understand. If you're doing the mistake, you will know, what actually went wrong. Yes, 7,50,000 is fixed overheads because it's 30 lakh per annum. Again, do it proportionate for 3 months and 9 months. Clear? So fixed overheads are 30 lakh per annum. So for 3 months, it will be 750. And for 9 months, it will be 22 lakh 50,000. So total will be 30 lakh. Fixed overheads are per annum. So make it for 3 months and 9 months. Make it for 3 months and 9 months. Clear? So I hope till fixed overheads, everything is clear. Yes. No. It's fixed overheads you will not do for as per capacity. Fixed overheads will be fixed. That is fixed overheads. Fixed overheads will not change with less capacity. Fixed overheads will remain the same. Clear? So it will be for 3 months and 9 months. Fixed overheads are time-based, not production-based, not capacity-based. Till the 100% capacity, fixed cost will be same. Clear? So this will be fixed cost. 18 lakh? No, it is 22 lakh 50,000. fixed cost will be 30 lakh per annum. For 3 months, it's 750, and for 9 months is this. Clear? Now let's go to semi-variable portion. Semi-variable, see, now we have to see the capacity also and fixed also, because it's semi-variable. So variable, 20 lakh per annum up to 50% capacity. 20 lakh per annum up to 50% capacity. So how much will be for the 50%? Can you tell me? Semis, now we are starting semi-variable. Under semi-variable, can you tell me how much semi-variable overhead will be charged for 3 months 50% capacity? Can you tell me semi-variable, how much it will be charged? Now, up to 50% capacity, the semi-variable overhead will be 20 lakh per annum. It's per annum again. I repeat, up to 50% capacity, the semi-variable overhead will be 20 lakh. But it is 20 lakh per annum. Again, you have to convert it for 3 months, because 50% capacity is for 3 months only. So out of 20 lakh, only 5 lakh will be till 50%. It's 5 lakh only, not 20 lakh. I repeat, semi-variable is 20 lakh per annum up to 50% capacity. So for 50%, the applicable semi-variable are 20 lakh. But 20 lakh only when the entire year the capacity is 50%. But for entire year, the capacity is not 50%. Only for 3 months, the capacity is 50%. So out of 20 lakh, only 5 lakh is semi-variable for 3 months. Clear? I hope you have understood. Yes. Now, so this is only 50%. Now coming to the 9 months. 9 months, the capacity is 80%. So 80% means first 50%. Plus next 25%, the amount will be more, and plus 5%. So any part thereof also. So for 50, the amount is 20 lakh. For next 25, the amount is 4 lakh. For even anything beyond also, the amount is 4 lakh. So your total amount is 28 lakh. I repeat, for 80% capacity for the rest of the 9 months, so we have 3 categories. Till 50%, the amount applicable is 20 lakh. For next 25%, the amount will increase by 4 lakh. By beyond 75% also, even if it is 1% extra, still the amount will be added 4 lakh. All right. So from 1% till 25, kitna bhi increase ho, amount will be 4 lakh. So total semi-variable overhead applicable is 20 lakh plus 4 lakh plus 4 lakh. So 20 lakh for 50%, 4 lakh for next 25 plus 4 lakh for anything, extra beyond 75. Clear? So 28 lakh, but 28 lakh is per annum. You have to convert it for 9 months into 9 divided by 12. So it is 21 lakh. 21 lakh for the 9 months, 80% capacity. It's not 23, it's 21. For 9 months, fixed amount will be 15 lakh. It is coming to 21 lakhs. See, total amount applicable you have to see. Till 50%, the applicable amount is 20 lakh. Beyond extra 25%, the applicable amount adds to by 4 lakh. So it's 20 plus 4. Beyond 25, extra 5% also the amount will be added 4 lakh more. So 20 plus 4 plus 4. The total amount applicable is 28 lakh. But 28 lakh is per annum. You have to make it proportionate for 9 months. So 28 lakh per annum will be applicable. Proportionate for 9 months, it will be 21 lakh. So this is the semi-variable. This was the highlight of this question. The first highlight was the units capacity, because most of the students make mistake here. They make 1,20,000 or 50%, 60,000. All right. And 80%. So this is not the way it is. Yes, it's 21 lakh. So that is the semi-variable. All right. So I shall repeat one. First of all, you have to calculate the capacity. So 1,20,000 units was per annum. That means for the entire year. First convert it for 3 months. So for 3 months, it will be 30,000 units. But we are working at 50% capacity. So the units will be 15,000. Similarly, for 9 months, the units will be 90,000. But we are working at 80% capacity. So it will be 72,000. So these are the units which are the current capacity. Now, again, we have now the units for production. So direct material is 90 per unit. Direct labor is 60 per unit. Clear? Overheads. Variable overheads are 100 per unit. You have the units, so you just multiply the units. Clear? Variable. Now coming to fixed. So 30 lakh per annum. So per annum means make it for 3 months and 9 months separately. Clear? Total are 30 lakh, but for 50% capacity, for first 3 months, it's not as per the capacity. It's for, because we are making it 2 categories wise. First 3 and the balance 9. So for the first 3 months, the fixed overhead will be 7,50,000. And for the balance 9 months, it will be 22,50,000. So this is the fixed overheads. Then coming to semi-variable. So semi-variable up to 50% capacity, it's 20 lakh. And an extra amount of 4 lakh for every 25% increase. All right. So 50% plus 25% increase or part thereof. So we have extra 5% also because the capacity is 80%. 80 means 50 plus 25 plus 5 extra. So 28 lakh will be applicable, but it's per annum. Convert it into for 9 months and you will get 21 lakh. And for 3 months, it's 20 lakh per annum up to 50%, but it's per annum. So make it for only 3 months. It will be 5 lakh. Is it clear? It's not 20 lakh. It's not 20 lakh. You don't have to add 20 lakh for first 3 months. You have to do it proportionately. So students, I hope you have understood this. It's a very good question to practice, which will clear your concepts, how, the interpretation of the question, how you have to approach the question. So every question is different. Every question will give you some learning. Clear? So now I think we have done all the costs. So can you tell me the total cost? Total cost, please. We can have the total cost for first 3 months and 9 months, and then of course the total. You must have made the total column also. So the total cost. I hope the solution should be there. Yes. Clear? So first 3 months, the next 9 months, and the total. Clear? So the capacity is 15,000 and 72,000. Total is 87,000 units. So the total units are 87,000. So direct material, direct labor, overheads, overhead just 1:3. Clear? For 3 months and for 9 months. Variable are there. Semi-variable, for first 3 months at the rate of 20 lakh, it comes to 5 lakh. And for the next 9 months at the rate of 28 lakh. So it comes to 21 lakh. Total is this. Total cost is this. We want the profit of 20 lakh. This is our desired profit. We want a profit of 20 lakh. So this was the total sales. This was the total sales. You require average selling price. So average selling price will be 2,93,50,000 divided by 87,000 units. You want average selling price. So just calculate the selling price divided by 87,000. The selling price is 337.35. This will be the selling price per unit, average. Average why? Because for first 3 months, the cost is different. For next 9 months, the cost is different. So average means that we will charge only one price. So we will be doing the average units. Clear? So the average selling price to be quoted is 337.35 per unit, which will give us a profit of 20 lakh over and above the cost of 2 crore 73 lakh 50,000. Clear? So this is how we do it. This is the average selling price. 223 is wrong answer. Just cross check your figures. Okay, 223 is only for 9 months. All right. Yes. How it's come 21 lakh, I've already explained many times. 21 lakh. 20 at the rate of 28 lakh, you have to just convert it for 9 months. 28 lakh is the total. I've explained 2-3 times. How, why 28 lakh? Clear? It's still there, if you can see. At 80%, so there are 3 benchmark, 50, next 25 and next 5. So it's 28 lakh. But 28 lakh has to be done proportionate for 9 months. So it comes to 21 lakh. Clear? So this is how it is done. I hope you've understood now. Have a final look at the question. All right. Let's move on to batch costing now. So we have to cover 2 types of costing, unit and batch. We have covered the unit costing. Now we have to do the batch costing. Batch costing means one lot. In one lot, many units will be produced. So all the identical units will be produced in one lot. You can take the best example of medicine. All right. So many strips of medicine, let us say 1 lakh strips of medicine are being manufactured in one lot, in one batch. They will have the same batch number. Clear? Then the next lot, again, 1 lakh medicines will be produced again together in one lot. Clear? And they will have the number, let us say batch 2. So all the 1 lakh units in batch 2 will have the name as batch 2. They are the lot of batch 2. Clear? So batch costing is when regular production goes, but in lots. Clear? So batch costing is specific order costing where articles are manufactured in predetermined lots known as batch. So predetermined, the machine setup will also be like this. That means this machine will produce 1000 units at one go, in one run, in one setup. Clear? So in batch costing, the machines also are like this. That this machine will produce, has the capacity to produce 1000 units in one lot. Together, it will produce 1 lakh units. So raw material for 1 lakh units will go inside, and output of 1000 units will come, from the other end. So that machine will be accustomed, will be programmed in such a way that it can produce multiple units in one lot. That is batch. Under this costing, the cost object is the batch. So the costing will be cost per batch. And in that batch, the number of units could be 10 or 100 or 1000 or 2 lakh or whatever. So the costing, the cost object is the batch. So we will calculate the cost for one batch. It could be now, if 1000 units are in one batch, so the cost will be for those 1000 units. Clear? Rather than output as seen in unit costing. So in unit costing, we calculate the cost per unit. But in batch, we calculate the cost per batch. Clear? Under this method, the inputs are accumulated. So all the raw material will be accumulated at one place, and together it will be inserted into the machine, into the assembly line, till it reaches the minimum batch size. So jab tak raw material, let us say we are producing 1000 units in one lot. So the raw material, तो जब तक 1000 units के लिए raw material बिल्कुल accumulate नहीं हो जाएगा, तब तक production start नहीं होगा. Clear? So first raw material will be accumulated and will go into the assembly line for 1000 units. Once all the raw material is collected to produce 1000 units at one go, then only production will start. So soon after a batch size is reached. Now batch size could be anything. I have given the example of 1000, but it could be 10, it could be 100, it could be 20,000, whatever it is. All inputs in a batch is processed for further operations. So all the input will go into the process at one go. Clear? So that is the concept. Okay, so we have this illustration also for batch costing. So just go through the illustration. So Arnav Confectioners owns a bakery to bakery items. AC used to make to bake at most 50 units of any item at a time. 50 units at a time. That means 50 units will make one batch. Clear? 50 units will be produced in one batch. A customer has given an order for 600 muffins. All right. To process a batch of 50 muffins. That means the bakery can produce 50 items in one go. And they have received an order of 600 muffins. So how much batches we have to run? We have got an order for 600 muffins and the company can produce in one lot 50 muffins in one lot, in one batch. So 50 units make one batch. And we want 600 muffins. So how many batches we would require? 600 divided by 50. We require 12 batches. All right. In one batch, 50 units will be produced. So we need 600 muffins. So we require 12 run. In one run, 50, then another run, another 50, then another run, another 50. So 12 runs, 12 lot we have to produce, we have to bake. So we will bake 600 muffins in 12 runs, in 12 lots. And cost is per batch of 50 muffins. Cost is per batch, not per unit, not per muffin. Cost is per batch. Clear? For 50 muffins, the cost is 500. Now they absorb production overhead. So this is the direct cost per batch. Now you always absorb the overheads. So production overheads will be absorbed at the rate of 20% of direct wages. And 10% is also added further to production cost of each batch. Okay, to allow for other overheads. Profit margin of 25% of sales we need. Determine the selling price for 600 muffins. Clear? So what exactly you have to do? Now let us see. So I'm just erasing it off. Let me explain you now how we do. So let's start. So we have the costing for 50 units. That means one batch. Clear? But we need the cost for 600 units. That means 12 batch. Clear? So we have the costing for cost per batch of 50 units. But we require the total for 600. That means for 12 batches we have to calculate on the basis of one batch cost. So direct material we have for 50 is 500. So 50 for one batch it is 500. Multiply by 12 batches. You will get the value for 600. Similarly, direct labor 50 for one batch of 50 units. For 12 batches, how much you require? This is the cost. Again, oven setup cost, it's 150 of one batch. So 150 of one batch and we require 12 batches. So this is the 12 batches will cover 600 muffins. Clear? Yes, 12 batches and accordingly we can calculate the cost. So direct cost we have done, direct material, direct labor and oven setup we have done. So can you have the total please? So this is the total direct cost. Then we will adding the production overhead. Then we will adding production overhead 20% of wages. Can I have the direct material please? Quickly. Okay, it's 6,000. It's 600 and oven cost is, let me calculate. 1800. Oven cost is 1800. So total direct cost is, how much is total direct cost? 6,000 plus 600 plus 1800. It should be 8,400 total. Production overhead is 20% of wages. So wages are 600, 20% is 120. Clear? So this is the total production cost, 8400 plus 120. 8520 is total production cost. It's total production cost. Then you add 10% to the production cost, 852. Add 10% to the production cost and you will get the total cost. Clear? Plus 852, it's 9372. We are doing for 600 units. Clear? For a batch. You have to do for 50 units also. Continue for 50 units also. I have come to the total wala. So here again, you can add 20% of 50 units also. You just complete both the columns. I have done the main column, the outer one, the total one. Total cost is 9372 plus profit. Add profit 25% on sales. That means 20% on cost. 25% on sales or 20% on cost. Can you calculate the profit, please, now? Calculate the profit. Yes. Add the production overhead, 20% of wages. That will be 120. Plus 10% for selling distribution overheads. For selling and distribution overheads. So we get the total cost. Can anybody tell me the profit? Profit is given 25% on sales, but you have to calculate on cost. The similar situation, see, in costing, you will find this situation very, very common. Very common. That profit is given on sales, but you have to calculate on cost. So you better practice this situation. All right. It's very, very common. All right. So 9372 is the cost. You are calculating the profit on cost. It's 25% on sales. So if it is sales, I would have done 25 by 100. But it's not sales, it's cost. So cost means cost will be less than sales. How much less? Whatever is the profit. So if sales is 100, profit is 25. How much will be the cost? 75. So that is why we use 25 by 75. Clear? So we use 25 by 75, you will get the profit. Clear? So profit comes out to 3124. Calculate the total sales. So it's 12496 is the total sales. Total sales is 12496. Divided by 600. Divided by 600, you will get the selling price for 600 muffins. Clear? So divided by 600, you will get the selling price for 600 muffins. It will be 20.83. 1, 2. $20.83 will be the selling price per muffin. You can calculate per batch also. Per batch of 50 units. So just continue with first batch of 50 units. Yes, 3124 is the profit. Very good. Clear? So let's have a clear solution here. So statement of cost, number of batches are 12. So 500, this is one batch of 50 units. So this is one batch of 50 units and total cost are for 600 units. Clear? So this is for one batch and this is for total. So this we have done 852. Profit 3124. This is the total selling price. This is the selling price per batch for 50 units. So the selling price for 50 units is 1041, but for 1 unit it is 20.83. That means 12496 divided by 600 karo. Yeah, 1041 divided by 50 kar do. Any which way you can do. So this is the selling price per unit. A very good question for practice we have done. Just have a final look. Any doubt in this? Yes, per batch it is 1041 and per unit, any which way you can calculate per unit, selling price per unit. Either you divide 12496 by 600 or you divide 1041 by 50. Anything, any which way, the answer will be 20.83, which is the selling price per muffin. And per batch, it is 1041. So 50 muffins का price है 1041 और एक muffin का price है 20.83. Is it clear? So this is how it is done. Previous lecture notes not uploaded. Okay, I'll ask the technical team to upload the previous notes and previous presentations. All right. So don't worry about that. I hope this is clear. All right, students, here we'll take a short break. All right, we'll come back after the break. Till then, you just, revise all the illustrations we have done, the concepts. Any doubt you can ask. So just have a break of 5-7 minutes, then we'll come back. All right, thank you. All right, students, let's continue. So I hope this illustration is clear to you. Let's move on. Okay, so we have another illustration. Just take a note of this, please. So a jobbing factory has undertaken to supply 200 pieces of a component per month. 200 pieces per month for the ensuing 6 months. Ensuing means the coming 6 months. Every month a batch order is opened, against which material and labors are booked. So every month one batch is open of around 200 pieces. Overheads are levied at a rate equal to per labor hour. So overheads are absorbed at a rate of per labor hour. So this is important. The selling price is 8 per piece. Clear? So we have the selling price. We have the overhead rate, which is equal to per labor hour. Material and labor are always actual, so they are given. You have to calculate the cost and profit per piece of each batch. That means per unit. Clear? So first we'll be calculating per batch and then we will be calculating per unit. Clear? So if there are 200 units in one batch, so first we'll be calculating cost per batch because costing will be as per batch. Direct material will be as per batch. Direct labor will be as per batch. So first we'll be calculating the total cost of one batch. And then we will divide it by the number of units in one batch. So this is how we will be calculating cost per unit and profit per unit. Clear? So we have what is given to us and the overall position of the order for 1200 pieces. So let us say if there are 1200 pieces, then what is the position of again cost and profit? Clear? So we want, first of all, they are asking the actual, the batch output, which actual happened. So the actual batch output which happened, and then the overall position they want for 1200 units also. Clear? So now batch output, again, there are different batches in different months. So in January, the batch size is 210 units of one batch. So in January, the one batch was for 210 units. In February, one batch was for 200. In March, one batch was for 220 units. So, and as on. Clear? So costing is given as per batch. So for 210 units, the costing is 650 for 210 units. So costing is per batch. Clear? So now here also we can do, you can make a different setup, different format, but I think we can do from here. So this is the batch output. This is column number 1. So column number 2, material cost plus direct wages. So material and wages are given as actual. So they are given as actual. So direct material plus direct wages. Now we have to see overheads. Overheads is the rate are levied at a rate equal to per labor hour. So we have to see how much labor hours we are used. So labor hours are given to us. Labor hours used per batch. Labor hours used per batch multiply by the overhead rate. What is the overhead rate? This is for the entire organization. This is for that particular component. So this is the data for a component. Clear? And this is the data for the entire organization. Jitna bhi produce hua hai, all right? So out of 4,800 labor hours in January, 240 labor hours are used on this component. In February, out of 4,400 labor hours, the total 4,400 in the entire organization, 280 labor hours are used on this component. Clear? So this is the total direct labor hours, and these are total overheads. So this is going to help us to calculate the overhead rate per labor hour. Clear? So this is going to calculate the rate of overhead per labor hour. How we calculate? Overheads divided by labor hour. So 12,000 divided by 4,800, 10,560 divided by 4,400. What is the labor hour? 4 per labor hour. 4 per labor hour is the overhead rate for January. 4 per labor hour is the overhead rate for January. What about February? 10,560 divided by 4,400. It is 2.4 per labor hour. For March, 12,000 divided by 5,000. It's 2.4 again per labor hour. Then 10,580 divided by 4,600. It's 2.3 per labor hour. This is for this. Clear? So likewise, we have to calculate. For first is 4 per labor hour. So 240 into 4. 240 into 4. So the labor overhead rate we have calculated from the total information. The rate we will be applying to the labor hours because it's written overheads are levied at a rate equal to per labor hour. So we have calculated the per labor hour rate and we will apply it to the direct labor hours. Second is into 2.4. Similarly, you will be calculating the overheads. So these are overheads. Clear? So we have direct wages, we have direct material, we have direct wages, and now we have overheads. So all the three elements of cost we have done. Direct material, yes. For January, it's 2.5. 1 minute. Let me check. Yes, bacha, it's 2.5. January, it's 2.5. It's correct. It's 2.5. January, it's 2.5. It's correct. 2.5. Let me just check it. That's why you should do your own calculations sometimes. Okay. So 2.5 into 240. It will be 600. For January, it will be 600. Then for February, it is 2.4. For March, again, it's 2.4. For April, it's 2.3 and so on. So calculate the overheads. Okay, it's 2.5. I've corrected it. It's 2.5. It's 2.5 for January, 2.4 for February and so on. So calculate the overheads also. And then you will have to add the overheads also. So material plus wages plus overheads. So overheads are all are here, are absorbed on the basis of labor hours. We have calculated the overhead rate and then applied. Clear? So now we can have the total. So the total cost. Then we can have the total cost now. So whatever is the total cost, you can calculate the profit and the sales because sales are 8 per piece. Sales is 8 per piece. Clear? So per piece is 8. It's per piece, not per batch. So 210 into 8. Just complete it. Clear? So now let us see if we have a solution. Yes. All right. So these are the months and the total. Clear? So this is the batch size and the total. Sales is into 8. 8 per unit is sales. So we have the sales value. So from sales, we have the material, we have the wages, and we have the overheads. Overheads, the way we have calculated the overhead rate and applied on direct labor hours for the component. Clear? So this is the total cost. Then profit per batch. So this is cost per batch. And then profit per batch. Clear? And then per unit. How per unit has come? Total cost is 1370 divided by units 210 divided by units of in one batch is 210. You will get 6.52 costing. Similarly, for February, total cost is 1452 divided by the units 200. You will get cost per unit 7.26 because you have to calculate cost per unit and profit per unit. So divide by the units in that batch. Total cost for March is 1502 divided by 220, the units. You will get 6.83. Clear? So just cross check the figures also. So this is how you calculate and profit per unit also. So this is profit per batch. 310 is profit of one batch. One unit is divided by 210 for January. So divided by units, you will get profit per unit, which comes out to 1.48. Clear? And there is some loss also coming in May. So this is the total cost per unit and total profit per unit. All right, this is how we do. So then they are asking us to calculate the overall position of the order for 1200 units, selling price into 8, and then cost per unit 7.4. This we have already calculated. Cost per unit 7.34 is the cost, average cost per unit. So this is the profit. Clear? So this is how we do it. A very simple question, but a very fundamental question, right? So here we have given the cost per batch, and there are many units in one batch. So there are different units in different months. So we have calculated sales value, which is per unit, but the costing is for one batch. So again, it belongs to all the units in that batch. So the total cost less sales, we get the profit per batch, then convert it into per unit by dividing by the total number of units in that batch of that particular month. Clear? Just have a final look at this question. So students, I hope you have finished it. All right. Shall we proceed? So this is the month-wise calculation, and the overall position also they asked us to calculate. Okay, let's move on to economic batch quantity. We have done a similar concept in material also, economic order quantity. So economic batch quantity means how much is the ideal size of the batch? How much should we produce in one batch? All right, that is the economic batch quantity. Or how much should be the demand, how much should be the quantity. So as the product is produced in batches, the lot size chosen will be critical. We should, if we want 10,000 units in the entire year, so we should produce 10 units in one lot, or we should produce 1,000 units in one lot, or we should produce 5,000 units in one lot. So how much should be the batch size? How much units should be produced in one batch? That's going to help us to, economically, we can calculate the cost, and we can have the economics of costing. All right. So primarily the total cost production under batch comprises of machine setups and inventory holding cost. So under the batch production, two costs are there: machine setup and inventory holding cost. Two types of costs are there. Like in economic order quantity, we have the ordering cost per order and the carrying cost. Similarly here, machine setup cost, because see, for every batch machine, you have to set up the machine. So one lot the machine has produced for, let us say, 1,000 units. For another lot, again the machine has to be set up. Clear? So setup time will be there, setup cost will be there. So machine setup cost and inventory holding cost. So if the size is higher, if you increase the batch size, that means if you increase the production in one go, the units you will produce in one lot, you will increase. The setup cost will be less, but the inventory holding cost will be high, because together so many units are producing and then you have to store them also. Clear? So if the size is higher, the setup cost may decline, but due to lesser number of setups required, but units in inventory will go up, so higher holding cost. Clear? So here is the batch size. Here is the batch size, and here is the cost. So if the batch size is increased, clear? If the batch size is increased, so setup cost, let us say the batch size is very less, so setup cost will be high. All right. But if you decrease the batch size, you increase the batch size, the setup cost will be less. So setup cost will decline, because उतना ही machine setup, उतना ही rounds कम लगेंगे machine के, जितना ज़्यादा एक बार में बना लोगे. Clear? But the inventory holding cost will increase. So if the batch size is 0, The inventory holding cost will be 0. If you increase the batch size, the inventory holding cost will increase. Inventory holding cost will increase. Because if you increase the batch size, that means so many units are produced in one go. So inventory holding cost will increase. Clear? So this is how it is totally inverse relationship between inventory holding and setup cost. Clear? Economic batch quantity is the size of the batch where total cost of setup and holding are at minimum. Yeah. So let's move on. So this is how we calculate. The similar way we calculated EOQ. It determines the production lot, the optimum production lot. एक बार में कितने units बनाने चाहिए? Optimum production lot. So D is annual demand. S is setting up cost per batch. And C is carrying cost per unit of production. How much is the carrying cost? Clear? So this is exactly on the same way. Okay, so this is the batch information. Monthly demand 500. Setting up cost 60. Manufacturing cost per unit is 20. Rate of interest 10%. Rate of interest could be the carrying cost. Clear? Or the holding cost. So 10% of rupees 20 comes to 10% of rupees 20 comes to 2 rupees. Clear? So 600 units. So the monthly demand, okay, it's monthly demand, you make it annual into 12. It should be annual, 6,000. So out of 6,000 units, you should produce 600 units in one batch. Economic batch quantity means you should produce 600 units in one batch. So out of 6,000, 600 units will be produced in one batch. So how many batches? 10 batches. You have to make the machine run 10 times. In one run, the machine will produce 600 units. So economic batch quantity tells us how many units should be produced in one batch, in one lot. Clear? This is economic batch quantity. So how many batches you have to run? 10 batches you have to run because total quantity you require is 6,000 and in one lot 600 are produced. So 10 batches you will require. Clear? In a year, the entire year. This is economic batch quantity. So quickly we have another basic illustration. So this bearings is committed to supply 48,000 per annum. It is estimated that it costs 1 as an inventory holding cost per bearing per month. But you want the inventory cost per annum. Inventory cost is always per unit per annum. I repeat, inventory cost is always per unit per annum. So it's per month. So multiply by 12. Clear? Setup cost is always per run or per batch. So it's 3,200. So how much it would be? 2 into 48,000, it's already annual, into 3,200 setup cost per run divided by 1 into 12, it will be 12. Clear? So optimum run size, how much should the batch, how much should be the batch size? How much the unit should be produced in one go? Clear? Can you calculate? 2 into 48,000 into 3,200 divided by 12 and under root 5060 units. So it comes to 5060 units. Please cross check the answer. It's coming 5060 units. 5060 units should be produced in one go. All right. So how much, what would be the interval between two consecutive runs? Now first we have to calculate how many runs it would require. So 48,000 I require annual, on an annual basis. And in one lot, how much will be produced? 5060 units will be produced in one go. So how many runs it would require? 48,000 divided by 5060. 9.4 runs. That means 10 runs. It would require 10 runs. All right. It would require 10 runs. What would be the interval between two consecutive runs? Interval means how much will be the gap between two runs. So we have total 365 days. You can convert it into months also. 365 days in total. During 365 days, you will have 10 runs. So the gap is 36.5 days. Clear? So first we have calculated batch quantity. Then we have calculated how much batches it has to run. So 9.4, so we cannot have, so we have shifted to 10 runs. So 10 batches we have to run. And how much will be the interval between two batches to run? So 365, over a period of 365 days, the entire year we have to run 10 batches. So divide by 10 runs, that means interval between two runs will be 36.5 days. You can convert it into months also. So 12 months divided by 10 runs, you will get the information in months also. Clear? Yes. Find out the minimum inventory holding cost. As we did in material, inventory holding cost will be half of EBQ into inventory holding cost per unit per annum. It's 12. Clear? So that means 5060 divided by 2 into 12. It will be 30360, which should be the minimum. So minimum inventory holding cost is 30360. How you calculate it? It's half of EBQ. So at any time we can, now holding cost is always when we follow EBQ. Holding cost will always be, it's an estimated cost. That if we follow EBQ, then what will be the holding cost? Clear? It normally not happens in the regular production. It is only when we calculate EBQ, then we estimate how would be the holding cost. So half of EBQ into 12, which is inventory holding cost per unit per annum. So 30360 is the minimum inventory holding cost. So there are three parts we have done. We have the, okay, so we have the clear solution also. You can check. 5060 is EBQ. Number of optimum runs. Okay, here also they have done 10 runs. They have to, you have to convert it into the next round figure. Interval between two runs, 36.5 days. If you calculate in days, you can calculate in months also. So minimum inventory holding cost, average inventory. Average inventory means half of EBQ, divide by 2. You assume that at any point of time, because we don't know how much inventory will be there in stock. So at any point of time, we assume half of the batch quantity will be there in stock, half. Yeah, that is why we always take average. Into carrying cost per unit per annum. So it's 30360. So this is how it is calculated. Just quickly take a note of this. All right, let's move on. Okay, we have another illustration. A company has an annual demand from a single customer for 50,000 liters of a paint product. The total demand can be made a range of color to be produced in a continuous production run. Okay, so it's a continuous production run, after which a setup of machinery will be required to accommodate the color change. So if you want to have a different color, so 50,000 liters can be produced in one run. So if you want a change of color next time, because it's a paint product, then again machine setup has to be done for a different color. The total output of each color will be stored and then delivered to the customer as a single load immediately before production of the next color commences. So whenever you produce one color, you deliver it to the customer and then you produce the next color. Setup cost 100 per setup. The service is supplied by an outside company as required. So the setup is done by the outside company. The holding costs are incurred on rented storage space, which is 50 square meter per annum. Each square meter can hold 250 liters. Okay. So the rented space is 50 square meter per annum is the rent. And in that area, 250 liters can be stored. So how much storage cost per unit? See, we want the carrying cost per unit. All right. And per unit is liter here. So here they have given the cost per square meter. But 1 square meter can accommodate 250 liters. So what is the cost per liter? 50 divided by 250. 0.2 per liter is the cost per annum. So carrying cost is 0.2 per liter per annum. That is the carrying cost. Okay. So we have the annual demand, we have the setup cost, and we have the carrying cost. So we can calculate EBQ, but what they want, calculate the total cost per year, where batches may range from 4,000 to 10,000. Okay, so they are given, they are giving us the batch size. So they are saying you have to take different batch sizes. EBQs, so we will calculate later. But they are saying you take the different batch size from 4,000 to 10,000 in multiples of 1,000. So that means the batch size we have to take. Batch size 4,000 in multiples of 100. Then 5,000. Then 6,000. Then 7,000, 8, 9 and 10. 4 to 10 liters, we have to take different batch sizes, and then we have to calculate the cost. So that we can select the production batch with minimum of cost. So for every batch size, we have to calculate setup cost and the holding cost. Clear? So for every batch size, we will be calculating the setup cost and the holding cost, and then the total. So whatever batch size gives us the minimum cost, that batch size we will be selecting. And that batch size ultimately should be the economic batch size also. Clear? Because at economic batch quantity, setup cost and holding cost together are the minimum. Clear? So if whatever batch size gives the minimum cost, that means that batch size should also be the EBQ, economic batch quantity. Clear? So let us do it in a trial and error method. I think we have, okay. So that is, you will understand it better. So similarly, see, we have taken the batch sizes here. And the setup and holding cost together will make the total cost. So how we calculate the setup and holding cost? If the batch size is 4,000 and setup cost per annum, setup cost per order is 100. 100 per setup. The setup cost is 100 per setup, if you can see here. Setup cost is 100 per setup and holding cost is 0.2 per liter. Holding cost is 0.2 per liter. Clear? And batch size are also in liters. So how we calculate? If the batch size is 4,000, if the batch size is 4,000, how much setups we would require? Total we require 50,000 units, liters. Total we require 50,000 liters, if you can see here. Clear? So how much setups we require if in one lot 4,000 liters are produced? So how much will be the batch size? 50,000 divided by 4,000. How many batches we would require? 50,000 divided by 4,000. 12.5 batches we would require. 12.5 setups we require. So 12.5 into 100 is 1250. 12.5 setups we require. So it's 1250. If the batch size is 5,000, then how much setups we require? 50,000 divided by 5,000. Total we require 50,000 liters. And if we produce 5,000 liters in one setup, how much setups we require? We require 10 setups. And the cost is 100 per setup. So it's 1,000. Clear? If we can produce 6,000 liters in one setup, then how much setups we require? 50,000 divided by 50,000 divided by 6,000. 50,000 divided by 6,000. 8.33 setups. 8.33 setups we require. Generally, see, we round off also. But here, since you have to calculate the actual minimum cost, it's better if we take like this also. We can, convert it also. But otherwise, that will not give us accurate answer. Because either you convert everything. So 10 setups, so you will not convert, but 8.33 you will convert. So you will not have the exact, costing. So that is why conversion is not advisable in such situations. If you do 7,000, how can we have half setup? Yes, so that's what I'm saying. that normally we, convert it into the full, like 8.33 setups we can't have. So we know, if we calculate, otherwise we will have to run 9 setups. But here we are taking like this. I mean, you can do that ways also. But see, there the cost comparison you cannot make. Because for 10 setups, so you will be having exact cost. But for 8.33 or for 12.5, you will have the round off cost. Clear? So you can try that way also. That again, you can just try and see the results. Are there different results? Clear? We are following the study material, like they have done like this. But normally when we calculate economic batch quantity, we round off. All right. So for different batch sizes, it is a setup cost. Now coming to holding cost. Holding cost, how we calculate? Half of the batch size into carrying cost per unit per annum. So the batch size is 4,000. Half of batch size is 2,000 into 12, into 0.2. It's 400. Clear? Half of the batch size into 0.2 is 400. Then half of the batch size is 2,500 into 0.2, it comes to 500. Half of the batch size is 3,000 into 2, you will have 600. So this is how you are calculating holding cost. All right. So setup cost plus holding cost gives you total cost. Now let's look for the minimum. This is the minimum. So this should be the batch size. 7,000 should be the batch size where the setup and holding cost are the minimum. And you see, normally at economic batch quantity, the setup and holding cost are equal. Clear? So again, it's almost equal, 700 and 714. So it's setup and holding costs are generally equal because it's in fraction. That is why, some difference is coming. But otherwise, they always come equal and together they are minimum, right? So at 7,000 batch size, the total cost is the minimum. So this is how it goes. Total cost that is the optimum cost. So this is how it is done. Now we have to calculate EBQ also. Okay, it's economic batch quantity. Economic batch quantity. It is economic batch quantity. So 7071 liters, again, because it's in fraction. So that is why some liters difference are coming. But otherwise, it is, if you round off, it will be 7,000 liters only. Clear? So for production batch of 7,000, again, how much setups you require? 7.4 or 8 setups. So normally when we do, we always round off. But when we are doing comparison, then we don't round off because there we need the actual cost of all the batches. You cannot do for 7,000, you are converting into, you are rounding off, and then for the rest where exact is coming there, you are not rounding off. So then in that case, you will not have a proper comparison of costing. But when the actual, we know that, okay, see, this is all approximate. Clear? So when we know near about 7,000 batches should be the optimum batch size, then of course we have to round off. We cannot run 7.14 setups. We have to run 8 setups only. So when we actually do, of course, we go for +1 setup. Clear? So the annual cost per year, setup cost will be 100. So here we have taken as per 8 setups. There we have taken as per 7.14. You got it? So when we actually do, we just go for a higher. Of course, we have to convert into next higher setup. And then the holding cost here. So again, the difference, because round off kiya hai, that's why the difference. Otherwise, holding and setup cost comes the same. Yeah. So the economic batch quantity is again 7,000 liters should be the optimum batch quantity, the batch size, where the total cost will be minimum. Yeah. Good. Okay, I hope I'm glad, Suman, that you have understood. So there are many minor things and minor techniques which you need to understand. All right, let's move on. Okay, so difference between job costing and batch costing. So job costing is basically, for per job, for customer order. And job costing is for non-standardized. All right, we have explained you earlier also. Job costing is we do the costing per order. All right. Batch costing is, okay, so many lots in one batches. In job costing, cost is determined for each job, and for batch, the costing is done for each batch, and then you can further convert into per unit. But first, the costing is done for each batch. And then by dividing the number of units in that batch, you can calculate per unit also. All right. Cost determined for each job. Again, jobs are different for each other, independent, they are unique. But in batch costing, all the units in one batch are identical. They have identical cost, they have identical raw material, they have identical, whatever other specifications are identical. So this is the difference between job and batch costing. I think it's easy to understand. All right. So let's move on to another illustration. This illustration is from your May 2024 RTP. It's a very good illustration and slightly technical. Try to understand how it is. So let us just try to understand first. So this company in beverages industry where it manufactures soft drink in 3 sizes. Clear? Large size in 3 sizes of bottles. So there are 3 sizes of bottles. In one bottle, so it's large, it's medium, and it's small. So there are 3 sizes of bottles. In one large bottle, 3 liters come. In medium, 1.5 liters come. And in small, 600 ml comes, ml. So 1 liter is equal to 1000 ml. Clear? 1 liter is equal to 1000 ml. I hope this you know. So 3 liter, 1.5 liter and 600 ml. 600 ml means how many liters? 600 divided by 1000. 0.6 liters, 0.06 liters. Better to convert everything in liters. Clear? So 3 liter bottle, 1.5 liter bottle and 0.6 liter bottle. Clear? The products are processed in batches. 5,000 liters capacity processing plant consumes electricity. Okay. So the one time the plant can produce 5,000 liters. So that means 5,000 liters is one batch. In one run, in one setup, 5,000 liters can be produced. Electricity consumption is 90 kilowatt per hour in 1 hour. And the batch means of 5,000 liters, takes 1 hour 45 minutes to complete. 1 hour 45 minutes it takes to complete one batch of 5,000 liters. Only symmetric size of products can be produced. Symmetric size means अगर large बना रहे हो bottle तो सिर्फ large ही बनेगा. अगर medium बना रहे हो तो सिर्फ medium ही बनेगा. So symmetric size of products can be produced. The machine setup takes 15 minutes to ready for the next batch processing. So 15 minutes machine takes and 1 hour 45 minutes actual production. So total 2 hours it takes for one batch. During the setup, power consumption is 20%. So during 1 hour 45 minutes, the power consumption is 90 kilowatt per hour. And for setup time, it's 20%. That means 18 rupees 18 per hour. It's only 20% of the kilowatt hours. So normal 90 kilowatt, not rupees, it's a kilowatt per hours. And for during the setup time, it's 18 kilowatts per hour. Clear? So this is how the whole setup is there. The current price of large, medium and small are 150, 90 and 50 respectively. So the current price of the bottle. The current price of the bottle is 150, 90 and 50. That is the selling price. Clear? To produce 1 liter of beverage, this raw material information is given. Workers are given. So this is the direct labor. Packing cost is given per bottle. That means it's variable. Power cost is given. Other variable cost per batch is given. Fixed costs are given and holding cost. So holding cost must be for EBQ. Clear? We have another part of this question, that demand. Demand of the bottle is, for large bottles, the demand is 3 lakh, for 3 lakh bottles. For medium, the demand is for 7,50,000 bottles. And for small is for 20 lakh bottles. Clear? So now you need to understand here. So we have this much liters of bottle. So now how many batches? All right. In one, the capacity is per batch is 5,000 liters. So if we produce large bottles, we require 3 lakh bottles of large. 3 lakh bottles of large size we require, and at a time only 5,000 liters can be made. So how many, basically how many this bottles and how many batches we would require? Clear? 5,000 liters and 3 liter in one bottle. So how many bottles? 5,000 liter divided by 3. So bottles, how many bottles we would require? 1666 bottles we can prepare at one time. Again, I'm saying in one lot, 5,000 liters can be produced and only one size at a time can be produced. So if we produce large size bottle in one go, so how many bottles we can basically produce in one go? 5,000 divided by 3 liters. That means 1666, 3 liters of one bottle. One bottle is of 3 liter and 5,000 liters we have the capacity. So 5,000 divided by 3. 5,000 divided by 3. 1666 bottles we can produce of large size. How many bottles of medium size we can produce in one go? Clear? So 5,000 divided by 1.5. तो एक बार large बन जाएगा फिर medium बनेगा. So 3 bottles of medium can be produced in one go. Then how many small? 5,000 divided by 0.6. 8333 liters of these bottles can be produced of small size. Is it clear? So 5,000 liters is the capacity in one batch. If I produce only large bottles and one bottle is of 3 liter, I can produce 1,666 bottles in one go of large size, 3,333 of medium size and 8,333 of small size. So these are the number of bottles in one run. In one run, these many bottles we require. So how many batches, how many setups we require? In one setup, the machine can produce this many bottles. So how many setups we require? How many batches we require to meet the demand of the annual thing? Clear? So now, for 3 lakh divided by 166, 7,50,000 divided by how many bottles of medium? 3,333. And how many small? 8,333. So if one batch takes care of 1,666 bottles, how many bottles or how many batches or setup we require? So 3 lakh divided by 1,666. At one time, 1,666 bottles are produced. And the demand is 3 lakh bottles. So how many runs? 180 setups we require or 180 batch we require. Clear? So batches are 180. The setup is 180. 180 setup will be required to produce 3 lakh bottles. Is it clear? Similarly, for this, how many? 7,50,000 divided by, it's 225 setups we require. Then 20 lakhs divided by 8,333. We require 240 setups. Here 180, 225 and 240 setups we require or the batches we require to meet the annual demand of 3 lakh, 7,50,000 and 20 lakhs. You got it? So this is how the preliminary information we have collected. 5,000 liters is the capacity. One bottle has 3 liter. So, and one bottle. So how many bottles we can make in one setup? These are the bottles we can make in one setup. So how many setups we require to manufacture annual demand? So these batches or setups we require. You can say setups also require to calculate this. Clear? So this is the preliminary information we have collected. So now we can do this way. So large, medium and small. The selling price is already there. Selling price is there. 150, 90 and 50. This is selling price per bottle. Selling price per bottle, not per batch. So how many bottles you have? The bottles are 3 lakh, 7 lakh 50,000 and 22 lakh 50,000. These bottles are there. You require, okay, 20 lakh. Sorry, it's 20 lakh. So selling price per bottle is given. So it's 20 lakh. Clear? So these are the number of bottles and you can calculate sales. So with this, you can calculate sales. Selling price per bottle is there. Current price, it's already mentioned here. And the bottles we have, so the selling price, the sales you can calculate. Okay. Now come to the material information. To produce a liter of beverage, to produce a liter in 1 liter. So how many liters? You should have the information how many liters you require. All right. If one bottle has 3 liters, if one bottle has 3 liters, how many bottles you require? 3 lakh bottles. Clear? You require 3 lakh bottles. For material, how much you will requiring? The liters. For materials, you should have the liters. So 3 lakh bottles into 3. You require 14 liters of raw material per liter of beverage. So first of all, how much liters we have in the bottles? 3 lakh bottles into 3. So 9 lakh liters of product we have into 14 liters. Clear? Similarly, for medium size, 7 lakh 50,000 bottles are there. And एक bottle में कितना liter है? 1.5 liter है एक bottle में medium size. So 7 lakh 50,000 into 1.5. Total liters are 11 lakh 25,000. इसमें 14 liters का raw material लगेगा per liter. Clear? So you can calculate similarly. Same for small also you can do. So 20 lakh bottles are there. 20 lakh bottles में 0.6 liter is used. 0.6 liters is used. So these many liters and then into 14 per liter. Clear? So this is one material, only material W. So material W 14 liters लगता है 1 liter को बनाने में. Clear? So you should know how many total liters of large, medium and small you require. Then in those many liters, 14 liter per raw material will go. So this is how we have done. So the total material in liters of W is there. Then they have another material. Material C. In material C, 25 ml will go. 25 ml. So 25 ml is how much liter? 25 divided by 1000. 0.025 liters. 25. 0.025 liter will go. Clear? In material C. So material C will be used 0.025 liter per liter of product. All right. So it's, if I say 9 lakh liters we require, so in 9 lakh liters into 0.025. For material C, we require 22,500 liters of material C. Liters of material C, the raw material. So 9 lakh we require. In 9 lakh, 0.025 liter of material C will be used. All right. So we require 22,500 liters of material C also on this material. So both the materials we require. All right. So I'm going slow step by step to make you understand how we have to calculate. So the material information, we have to convert it into liters first. How many liters we require? In 3 lakh bottles. Large bottles, we are producing 3 lakh large bottles. और एक large bottle में 3 लीटर होता है. So हम 9 lakh liters बना रहे हैं large bottles के. 9 lakh liters में 14 लीटर of material A लगेगा 1 लीटर में. So 9 lakh into 14. All right. इतना मटेरियल चाहिए W का और 0.025 लीटर चाहिए मटेरियल C का. Clear? So the total material required for material W is this. You need to calculate. Plus material C is this. Similarly, you can do for medium and small also. So this is the material information. I can also show you now in proper, since you know how now we are doing. Okay. So see, 5,000 liters is the total capacity, and the bottle volume is 3, 1.5 and 0.6 liter. It is in liter. We have converted into liter. So these many maximum bottles we can produce in one setup. Medium का इतना एक बार में बन सकता है और small का इतना एक बार में बन सकता है in one run, in one setup. So how many batches to run? 3 lakh bottles we have to make. एक टाइम पे इतनी bottles बनेंगी. So these are the number of run और number of batches जो हमें करने पड़ेंगे. So large के हमें 180 batches run करने पड़ेंगे, तब जाके 3 लाख bottles बनेंगी. ठीक है? क्योंकि एक रन में 1,666 bottles we can the machine can produce. क्योंकि मशीन एक बार में 5,000 लीटर ही बना सकती है और लार्ज बॉटल का 3 लीटर की एक बॉटल है. So इतनी bottles बन सकती हैं, तो कितने batches चाहिए? इतने batches चाहिए. All right. So this information I think I've also explained. Now the material requirement. इतनी demand है bottles की और इतना एक लीटर में एक बॉटल में 1 लीटर आता है, तो इतना टोटल लीटर्स हमें बनाना है जो बॉटल में फिनिश प्रोडक्ट बनेगा. इतना लीटर्स फाइनल आउटपुट है. उतने लीटर्स के लिए 14 पर लीटर आपको मटेरियल W चाहिए. सो इतने लीटर्स ऑफ मटेरियल W आपको चाहिए, इतने लीटर्स. और मटेरियल C आपको 0.025 लीटर चाहिए 1 लीटर ऑफ फिनिश प्रोडक्ट में. सो 25 मिलीलीटर है, 25 मिलीलीटर और 0.025 लीटर, किसी भी तरह आप कर सकते हो. सो ये मटेरियल C के लीटर्स आपको चाहिए. ठीक है? तो ये मटेरियल W के इतने लीटर्स की रिक्वायरमेंट है और मटेरियल C के इतने लीटर्स की रिक्वायरमेंट है. ये लीटर्स हैं. और मटेरियल कॉस्टिंग इज गिवन टू यू, सो यू कैन कैलकुलेट द मटेरियल कॉस्ट. इज इट क्लियर? Now let us see the man shift required. That means the labors required और उनकी shift कितनी है. So let's go back to the question. Okay. Now 20 direct workers are required and the workers are paid 880 for 8-hour shifts of work. So that means how much time it's taking per batch? 1 hour 45 minutes plus 15 minutes. 2 घंटे लग रहे हैं एक बैच को बनाने में. Of course, machine is taking, but the laborers are required. So in one batch, 2 hours is taken. All right. 2 hours per worker. 2 hours is required in one batch. So how much batches we are using? These much batches. See, the time is given per batch. The time is given per batch, not per liter. Material we have to do per liter. But the labor we have to do per batch, क्योंकि time per batch है, per setup है. So 2 hours it's taking to make per 1 hour 45 minutes and 15 minutes. So 2 hours time is taking to run one batch. And how many batches? 180, 225 and 250 batches we are running. So how much labor hours we require? So I hope we have this. Yes. See, 2 hours per batch is required and these many batches. So these are the total hours which is required for large, medium and small. And 8-hour shift की 8 hours की 1 shift है. तो कितनी shifts चाहिए? 45 shifts चाहिए. 1 shift is for 8 hours. It's given in the question. 1 shift is for 8 hours. We require 360 hours. So how many shifts? 45 shifts, 57 and 60. इतनी shifts चाहिए. Clear? So this shift is for per worker. So 20 workers से multiply कर दो. So 900 man shift for large, medium and small. इतना ही उनका रेट है. रेट है 880 पर शिफ्ट. 880, 880 and 880. ये अमाउंट आ जाएगा. Clear? So this is the total man shift. So I repeat. Man hours, the labor you have to calculate per batch. Why? Because the information is given per batch. Time per batch, 2 hours. 145 minutes machine takes and 15 minutes setup. So the worker has to be there for 2 hours per batch. So that means total hours required is 360, 450 and 480. How many shifts will be required for that worker? 45 shift चाहिए एक worker के लिए. 20 workers हैं तो 900 shifts हमें चाहिए large के लिए. और 880 पर 8 hour की shift है तो उस हिसाब से आप calculation करोगे. So these are number of man shift required. I'm just explaining you the question. You have to do the question again. I'm just explaining you the information. You have to gather the information and then calculate the costing. So for rate, the rates are given. You just have to multiply. I'm giving you how to collect the data for material, for labor, for machine, for setup. I'm explaining you how we collect the data. Rates are given, then you can simply multiply the rates and calculate the cost. But explanation is the main explanation I'm giving it to you. So the power consumption, again, power consumption, if I say number of batches, hours required per batch. If you see 1 hour 45 minutes, 1 hour 45 minutes. So per batch hours will be 1.75. अगर hours मिले, वो 1 hour 45 minutes था. तो अगर हम उसको पूरा आर में कन्वर्ट करें तो 1.75 आर बनता है. ठीक है. 1 hour 45 minutes को अगर आप आर में कन्वर्ट करो तो 0.75 आर इट विल कन्वर्ट. So hours required is 1.75 and 1.75 per batch. इतने batch में इतने hours लगेंगे. So इतने machine के running hours हैं. पावर कंजम्पशन पर आवर इज 90. इतना मशीन चलेगा तो एक घंटे में पावर की कंजम्पशन कितनी होगी? 90 पर आवर है किलोवाट आवर्स. तो टोटल कंजम्पशन ऑफ मशीन इज दिस. टोटल पावर कंजम्पशन विल बी दिस. और पर बैच अगर आपको लेना है तो आप डिवाइड कर दो 180 से. यू विल गेट कंजम्पशन पर बैच. ऑलराइट. सो पावर कंजम्पशन ऑफ मशीन इज इन वन बैच 1.75 hours consumption हो रहा है. So the kilowatt hours consumption is 90 per hour. So total consumption of power कितना हो गया? 28,350 hours of machine. आप उसको सिर्फ rate से multiply करो and you will get the amount. So this is power consumption. Similarly for setup. For setup it is taken 15 minutes. You convert 15 minutes into hour, it will be 0.25. 15 minutes divided by 60, you will get 0.25 per hour. Clear? So 15 minutes has been converted in hours, 0.25 hours. So setup में 0.25 hours लग रहे हैं. तो total hours कितने लगेंगे? 45, क्योंकि 180 का बैच है. एक बैच में 0.25 आवर्स लग रहे हैं सेटअप के लिए. 180 सेटअप होंगे तो कितना टाइम लगेगा सेटअप में? 45 आवर्स का टाइम लगेगा. पावर कंजम्पशन 20% ऑफ 90 है तो 18 पर आवर पावर कंजम्पशन है. तो द टोटल पावर कंजम्पशन विल बी 810. सेटअप में इतना पावर का कंजम्पशन लगेगा. क्लियर? सेटअप में इतना लगेगा और मेकिंग प्रॉपर मशीनिंग में 28,350 का आपका पावर कंजम्पशन लगेगा. क्लियर? सो दिस इज सेटअप आवर्स एंड दिस इज द कंजम्पशन आवर्स. एंड यू कैन कन्वर्ट इट इनटू पर बैच आल्सो, बट दीज आर द टोटल. क्लियर? एंड द रेट पर आवर इज गिवन. सो you have to simply, I'm just doing the groundwork for you. 7 पर किलोवाट का आर है. क्लियर? सो अगर 28,350 आवर्स लग रहे हैं तो जस्ट मल्टीप्लाई बाय 7, यू विल गेट द मशीन कॉस्ट. पावर की कितनी कॉस्ट है. सो आई एम टेलिंग यू द मेन इंफॉर्मेशन. बाकी रेट यू जस्ट हैव टू मल्टीप्लाई. क्लियर? एवरेज पैकिंग कॉस्ट इज 3, वेरिएबल कॉस्ट इज दिस एंड फिक्स कॉस्ट इज दिस. So let's just see the thing. Here you will understand it better. So man shift I have explained you. Power consumption also I've explained you, for processing and for setup. Then coming the profit or loss. Clear? So now all the information is ready with us. Now we just have to calculate the profit or loss, जहाँ पे आपको rate से multiply करना है. So let us see, let us compile everything. Demand is 3 lakh bottle. And selling price per bottle is 150, 90 and 50, which is given in the question. I hope you've taken a note of the question. So it's very difficult to go to the question again 4 slides back. So this is the sales value. Clear? Now the material cost. So we had the quantity of material. We calculate the quantity of material. This was the quantity of material 1 crore 26 lakh liters of W and 22,500 liters of C. और इनकी costing क्या है? W material is coming for 50 paisa and C is coming for 1,000 per liter. So the rate is given. We just have to multiply the rate. Clear? Now I'm taking back to you to the same this thing. All right. So material 1 crore 26 lakh into 0.50 come to 63 lakh. आधा करना है उसको. Material C 22,500 into 1,000. It will be 2 crore 25 lakh. So this is the costing of material. So the main thing was how to calculate the consumption of material. Liters को calculate करना important था. बाकी तो आपको rate से multiply करना है once you get the liters. Similarly for wages, so this is the total material costing. दोनों का add होगा. Total material W and material C. Then direct wages, we have the man shift hours 900. So 900 was required, 880 was the rate. So 900 was the man shift hours which we calculated. Simply multiply by 880. हमने already shifts calculate कर लिया, ठीक है? So this is how you will be calculating wages. Packing cost 3 per bottle था. Packing cost was 3 per bottle. And the bottle is 3 lakh. 3 lakh bottles है तो 9 lakh हो गया आपका packing cost. Clear? And similarly for medium and small. I'm explaining you for large, you have to do for medium and small. Then the power cost, we already calculated the power consumption for processing. So the power rate is 7. You just multiply with the consumption hours. Setup time also, we had the consumption hours. So setup time again, the power ka charges per hour ka 7 per hour. And we have calculated the hours for processing and for setting up time. Other variable cost was 30,000. 30,000 was the other variable cost. So number of batches. It was as per number of batch, not unit. So 30,000 into 180 batches we had. For large, we had 180 batches, 180 run. So 30,000 per batch. We have already calculated. So 30,000 इसका batch था 225 batches इसके run होंगे और इसके run होंगे I think 240 batches. Clear? So this is the variable cost. So total variable cost we have. Fixed cost we already had. So this is the total cost of this entire thing of the processing of all these 3 lakh and 7 lakh 50,000 and those many bottles. This total cost had 2 crore 82 lakhs and this. All right. So this is how it is done. We'll be sharing this. You again do it on your own. Then you will understand it better. So I have explained in detail the consumption, the hours, the material, and then of course you just have to multiply with the rates. Economic batch quantity also you have to calculate here. So we have the annual demand. The unit is the bottle here. The setup cost we have already calculated. The setup time and the power cost was 7. So this was setup time per batch. Other variable cost, it was already 30,000. They have taken other variable cost as setup cost only. So what we require for EBQ? Setup cost and holding cost. Holding cost is 1 bottle per annum. All right. So this is the total holding cost. This is the total setup cost. So for large, you can calculate 2 into 3 lakh. Setup cost is 30,031. Holding cost is 1. So if you calculate, you will get 134,234 bottles. It should be the economic batch size. That means in one lot, you should produce 134,234 bottles. In one batch, you should produce. Yeah, this is the economic batch size of the bottle. All right. So this is how the entire thing is done. Do practice it 2 or 3 or 4 times. It is a very good practice question, which is applicable for your May 24 exams as per the new syllabus. All right. So I hope you have understood. I've tried to, clear it very clearly in detail, everything. Now, if you will do it again, you will understand it better, how to approach this question. A very good question. And so do practice all the questions. There are a couple of more questions in this presentation, which you can use as practice. Similar questions which we have already done. So that we have added for practice. So we'll be sharing this. So till then, that's all for, unit and batch costing. So we'll be meeting you in another session with another, topic or module. Till then, happy studying, happy learning. Good day. Thank you.